should we talk about? I have two other things. We don't have a ton of time, but
And it's all about the respect.
we've got the Tucker got his hands on the January 6th footage from. We've also got Dominion lawsuit, which I think is pretty good.
Yeah.
How they were able to get all the texts from them and
I love that
discovery. It's really good. I'll show you guys the text.
Tucker.
We can go through the January 6th footage really quickly if you want, like, because that's not as long as a there's not as long as a video or anything like that. You can just like show.
This one's actually really easy, and let's just do this one, and then we'll do that one because if we run out of time, I think this one will be easier.
Tucker.
It's easy to set up. So Dominion is the voting system that Trump, Fox News, and Newsmax and all these guys were saying their machines are not safe, and they helped facilitate the rigging of the election. Now, Dominion is suing all those people, specifically Fox News, for $1.9 billion in damages. Let's go. And defamation lawsuits, as I've said on the show many times, are very, very hard because you have to prove essentially that the person defaming you knew what they were saying is wrong. And, many times you just don't have the kind of evidence to support that kind of a finite claim. But what's happening with this Dominion lawsuit is really interesting. In the process of discovery, they obtained text messages from Tucker. They got text messages from
Murdoch.
They got text messages from that other big head guy,
Hannity,
yeah, and also
Laura Ingraham.
Yeah,
all the executives is a star-studded cast. It's wonderful to see them in private and the way that they discuss these matters and the disdain that they kind of have for their audience. Like
it's so cynical.
They're completely aware that they are, they're posturing on television to an audience of fucking baboons.
They're knowingly lying.
Yeah,
it's so.
And
they
know how
cynical.
stupid their fan base is.
Alaskan Bullworm wants to know why your haircut makes your head look normally proportioned.
Oh, hell yeah. Thank you so much for that. I paid that person.
Yeah, is that you?
That was you, bro.
Yeah, that was me. I was tweeting it from my phone.
Yeah, so here on Trump's business history, as votes were being counted in 2020 presidential election, Mr. Carlson texted one of his producers fretting about viewers turning away from Fox News after the network called Arizona for President Biden. The producer said Trump has a pretty low rate of success in his business ventures. Tucker Carlson responded, "That's for sure. All of them fail. What he's good at is destroying things. He's the undisputed world champion of that," Tucker said of Trump. Continuing on Trump's plan to skip Biden's inauguration, a staff member texted Carlson to say they'd heard Mr. Trump was planning to not attend the inauguration, an important symbol of the peaceful transfer of power. Carlson said, "I'd heard that about the inauguration. Hard to believe. It's so destructive. It's disgusting. I'm trying to look away," he said of Trump not going to Biden's inauguration.
Yeah.
He's almost like a normal guy behind the scenes.
No, it's funny because
it's like that's what I think.
No, he's not a normal guy. Here's why I love that. Because I, unlike yourself, am infinitely more cynical about the American government and also all this symbolic shit, right? And what it means. So I don't care. Ultimately, I'll talk about how crazy it is and how funny it is, but deep down inside, I don't really give a shit, right? But it's funny that Tucker Carlson, on the other hand, is such a civility liberal after all, even though he himself is a devastating WASP nationalist who cuts racial agitprop every fucking night in a very successful way, if I may add. Deep down inside, he's still oh, I can't believe he's not doing the symbolic stuff, though. You're undermining the integrity of the American institutions. Please.
But if you could go to his broadcast for that night, I'm pretty sure he'd be like, why should President Trump go to the inauguration when there's so many questions about the legitimacy of the election?
Well, he's literally doing that right now.
Number 3, on his interaction with Trump's team over Sidney Powell, the psychotic Trump lawyer, he texted with Fox News' Laura Ingraham about Sidney Powell, a lawyer for Mr. Trump. and one of the biggest promoters of the election fraud claim. Carlson said, I had to try to make the White House disavow her, which they obviously should have done a long time. Of course, she was a guest on his show several times. Laura Ingraham said no serious lawyer could believe what they were saying. Carlson says, but they said nothing in public, pretty disgusting. And now Trump, I learned this morning, is sitting back and letting them lose the Senate. He doesn't care. I care. It's like they're saying behind the scenes how much he cares about doing the right thing, but then he goes on his show and does the opposite of how he personally feels.
No. He doesn't care about doing the right thing. Understand this. Tucker Carlson ultimately is a rich guy.
Yeah.
Right? He might have legitimate, like, ideological reasons for why he's promoting, fascist ideas and concepts.
Mm-hmm.
But ultimately, as a rich guy, he cares about just, maintaining his wealth and serving the even richer guys that pay him hundreds of millions of dollars. So Donald Trump, in certain instances, when he does stuff like this, when he undermines the integrity of the American institutions, is actually presenting a danger to the way things are for wealthy people. Because if the system collapses entirely, then all of a sudden, the super rich guys are not going to be able to turn profit in the same way that they are able to right now. It's always better to not fully starve out the population and give them some breadcrumbs to make them feel comfortable in their existence than it is to truly undermine the entire system, let it crumble. Because when you undermine the entire system and let it crumble as it stands currently, when there's still profit to be made, you're going to give up on a lot of your amenities, a lot of your.
But if I guess you could say more specifically, he's going against his own interests when he goes on the show and, goes with the talking points. But he goes on, this is about the aftermath of the Capitol riots. After the riots at the Capitol on January 6th, Mr. Carlson texts with Mr. Pfeiffer. Who's the Pfeiffer? Is that a producer?
Yeah, that's the producer.
Okay. About Mr. Trump's culpability in the insurrection, how to deal with viewers who still support him. This was 2 weeks before Biden's inauguration. Carlson says, Trump has 2 weeks left. Once he's out, he'll become incalculably less powerful, even in the minds of his supporters. Carlson continues, he's a demonic force, a destroyer, but he's not going to destroy us. I've been thinking about this every day for 4 years. Pfeiffer says, you're right. I don't want to let him destroy me either. The Trump anger spiral is vicious. Carlson says, that's for sure. It's deadly. It almost consumed me in November when Sidney Powell attacked us. It was very difficult to regain emotional control, but I knew I had to. We've got 2 weeks left. We can do this. What these conversations are so ridiculous, too.
Well, Tucker Carlson, shouts out to Roger Ailes, rest in piss. But Fox News as an institution was designed deliberately to be the propaganda arm of the Republican Party and the Republican interests, right? So Tucker Carlson having this conversation in private is hilarious to me because this is the exact same conversation that is happening in every circle in the Republican Party. Because the party machine currently has these two conflicting forces. They have geared up the base to be more and more extremist, right? Because the culture war is the only thing that keeps people going out to the polls, keeps people going out and voting because you're not offering them any sort of material restitution. You're not offering them anything. You're not offering them health care. You're not offering them financial freedom or anything like that. So how do you make work the deregulation narrative? How do you make work the tax cuts for the wealthy narrative? You shift the attention away, you pump up the American dream rhetoric, and then you shift the attention away from the genuine damaging impacts that this kind of attitude has, this Reaganism attitude has on the economy as a whole, and you focus on marginal issues, culture war issues, and you create this culture war agenda. And you constantly have to push that button over and over again, and people demand more and more and more. So now you've gotten to a place where Donald Trump sees all of that and reads the room very well and is able to communicate the culture war narratives without the dog whistles, really. That's why he's so appealing. But when you do that, when you rush to your base of support that hard, you will cause instability. Like Donald Trump, in many respects, was a victim of his own success.
Yeah.
The reason why the Republican Party is currently suffering electorally is because they caved to the demands of a hyper-vigilant, violent, extremist base of support that they have in the form of white Protestants, right? They make up a tiny percentage. Well, not tiny, but not a large enough percentage to like win elections nationally. But they capitulated to them. They created the Federalist Society. They set it up and designed systems to specifically concede to their demands. And once they got those demands, which were inherently anti-democratic, and the only way to achieve them was going against the wishes of the majority, when they did that so brazenly, all of a sudden people are like, what the fuck? I'm conservative, but like, I have a daughter. And God forbid, what if she needs to get an abortion? I'm conservative, but I'm seeing young women all around the country who are not able to get medical procedures from their doctors because the doctors are afraid that they're going to go to jail when they have and they're forced to give like stillbirth abortion. I mean, when they're forced to give birth to a stillbirth fetus, right?
Yeah. This was my favorite one, by the way. And I'm wondering if Trump, I feel like, has to respond to this. He goes, on his desire to move on from Trump, Carlson said, Mr. Carlson texts with members of his staff 2 months after the 2020 election and 2 days before the insurrection at the Capitol building and looking forward to not having to cover Mr. Trump. Carlson said, we are very, very close to being able to ignore Trump most nights. I truly can't wait. He continues, I hate him passionately. Carlson says he hates Trump passionately. And so I wonder if Trump's going to respond to that. But what's interesting about this is that you have proof, hard evidence, of Fox News pundits saying exactly the opposite of what they're saying on the air. And it's interesting that it's turning out that they have a very compelling case of defamation, Dominion voting. So, they might actually win. They might actually win that 1.9 billion.
That'd be so sick. I mean, it's hard because like, I don't know how much money Dominion has, but like, I know Fox News has like great lawyers. This is an open and shut defamation case, but it's still very difficult to win those. So unless you're Johnny Depp.
So they're shopping for judges right now.
Yeah.
The Fox News ones. They're trying to find like super conservative judges who are like Fox News watchers and stuff, trying to find sympathetic.
It's not going to be that hard.
No, it's not. It's not going to be that hard.
Fox Corporation has $4 billion cash on hand. God
That's
damn,
awesome.
Dude.
These motherfuckers got a bank account with $4 billion in it.
Yeah.
Love that for them.
Yeah, we got more here at the Leftovers
20.
compound. We got
Easy.
20, but like, I mean, they're broke boys, but.
I just can't get over, again, we always talk about how lucrative the grift is, and I just so happy for them.
Yeah.
They were able to make it,
But going back to the Tucker Carlson thing, like, there is a dual interest here, right? On the one hand, they don't want to rock the boat too hard, but they have to hammer on the volatility. They have to hammer on the violent narratives, right? But on the other hand, they don't want to rock the boat too hard because, like, they still want to make money. They still want to live in comfort, right? And that's the issue. That's the reason why he has to toe this delicate line of, like, immigrants are dirty and need to be purged from this country, while simultaneously not saying it too much, like not going too kooky with the election narratives, which is why, and this is a decent segue, I think, back to the other video.